I'm 34 years old and I have never been in a relationship. Like, ever. To be specific, like, I've literally just never had a romantic relationship. I have gone on dates before, but I have never had any kind of a like conversation of like, oh yeah, you're my boyfriend or I'm your girlfriend. Like, I've never gotten to that point in my life. And I'm just here to chat about it. Basically, me never having been in a relationship and being 34 years old, sometimes it's like embarrassing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel embarrassed sometimes because I'm just like, you're 34, you're a whole like grown up adult person, even though I still see myself as like a 12-year-old. But I'm like, no, you're like legitimately an adult who pays bills, who has a mortgage, who has a car that's paid off. Like, you've gone through the whole process of buying your first car and it's paid off. Like, you're that much of an adult and you've never been in a romantic relationship. And to be honest with you, this is like a part of me that's been like so like guarded and embarrassed because it just feels like there's something wrong with me. That's just how it feels. It may not be the truth, but that's like literally how it feels. I grew up in a pretty conservative environment. I'm from the Bay Area in California. I went to a private Christian school. Actually, I went to private Christian schools from kindergarten all the way through my 12th grade year. So, as you can imagine, it was definitely a sheltered upbringing, but also like there wasn't a lot of what's the word? It was a very homogenous like group and community that I was around. So predominantly white. We did have a couple people who were black in my like classes growing up, but I was one of the very few black kids in my school from kindergarten through 12th grade. I remember multiple times going home and asking my mom, like, Mom, am I pretty? Like, why don't the boys like me? Like, am I beautiful? Like, asking for that reassurance because like when you're like young, like your peers are the people who are going to like reassure you and say, yeah, you're cool. Or they're going to say, oh, you're not. Like, you just get that reinforcement from the people who are your age. Like, that's generally like what that developmental stage is. So I was asking my mom too, because like I was getting this feedback and it wasn't like direct feedback from my peers, but more so indirect and very covert feedback that whatever about me just was not attractive and was not something that boys my age were interested in. And specifically, like the boys I was interested in were like, there were a lot of white guys because that's what I grew up around. And I would like tell my mom, like, I have a crush on this boy, da da da, like, and she would know he was white or whatever because it was a small community. People know each other. And she, would just remind me, like, sometimes people just don't, like, they don't venture off into things that they don't know. So, like, maybe he doesn't have a lot of, like, maybe that family doesn't have a lot of black friends and they don't really know. So, like, that was, like, the reasoning and the rationale that I received from, like, my mom about like why these boys might not be choosing me. And I mean, I kind of understand it because that is like the case. Like, that's why if you're not black, you wouldn't know this. But if you are black, like in the back of your mind, sometimes you will ask yourself in the dating world, like, I wonder if he's attracted to black girls. That's just the question. And that's like just the reality for me. It doesn't matter if they're black. Doesn't matter if they're white or Asian or Indian, Mediterranean. It doesn't matter what they are. The question will always be, I wonder if they're attracted to black girls, And that's like unfortunate, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. And that was that was me growing up and just being just curious about the dating world, but not really knowing how to approach it or even get into it. Like, even now I have a lot of self-confidence issues that I'm working through. I've always grown up in a larger body. In terms of larger, I mean larger than my friend groups, and it's just always been different. I mean, I was like one of maybe 5 black kids in my graduating class. And I do think that that's impacted a lot of the ways that I've seen myself, and continues to this day to really impact how I move through the world and how I see myself as desirable or undesirable. And it sucks. It sucks to feel that way. And I think just being a woman, being a girl, like, it's just you're going to have insecurities no matter what. You'll have them no matter what. Unfortunately, I believe that just with my past and things like that, it's amplified. Anytime even the smallest part of my insecurities that I do have is reinforced, it feels like 10 times worse. I didn't have those experiences, those formative experiences. And I will say that I did go on some, like, I've been on dates and I've kissed before, but that's literally it. Like, I have never been, like, intimate with a man. Like, I've never, so that's, another piece of the puzzle as well that is embarrassing and frustrating. And as somebody who, like, I used to be really involved, like, in my Christianity. I used to be, like, super involved in my church, and that was something that was important to me, was waiting until marriage to be intimate. And as I've continued to kind of go through my deconstruction of my faith, that's just not a priority for me right now. Like, it's just not a priority. So now that I've kind of, like, changed my mind, it's kind of like this weird place to be in where it's like you had this thing that you were really wanting to, like, keep, you had this thing you wanted to keep, and now you're like, I don't even know how I would go about, like, changing that for myself. In a lot of ways, like, I feel really stunted in my just, like, development as a person. I feel like there's a lot of really great things that I've been able to accomplish and achieve, which is amazing. But the one thing that I feel like has always eluded me, whether that's, like, through just circumstances or my own self-sabotage, has been dating and being in a romantic relationship. And I recognize that I play a huge part in that as well, especially now being an adult and being able to, like, have more autonomy and, choosing, like, choosing my environment, choosing the situations I put myself in, and having more of a say because I live on my own. I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a whole adult. And I also just recognize that it's hard. It's just challenging. Like, I want to date, but there's no part of my, like, if I say the words online dating, my entire body shudders a little bit. Like, I just don't ever want to go back to that space. And it actually kind of sucks because it's like, well, then how do you really meet people? I mean, I go out and I do things, like, on my own sometimes, but I'm trying to do that more, especially, like, just, when I'm having, like, moments where I'm able to, like, really just, like, take care of myself and, like, do things for myself. But it's interesting because I was watching Love Island, which I don't know why I'm watching. I have to, like, kind of give myself a break because it's just a lot. I don't know why, but it's, like, really triggered me. I think because of relationship stuff, I just have always been super sensitive to things like that. Like, I think part of it is there is a part of me that grieves what could have been. And what I mean by that is there's a part of me that grieves that high school sweetheart, falling in love, just being infatuated feeling, and just missing out on that piece. Because I feel like when you're young, it's natural to feel that way. Like, you see it in all the movies when, you're just obsessed with a person and you're both obsessed with each other and you're just spending all this time together, and it's just magic and you're just in your bubble. And sometimes bubbles, they do burst, but even if that's the case, at least it's just a really beautiful, like a beautiful thing you can kind of leave with, like your first love, you know what I mean? And I used to think I had my first love, and it was a long distance, never met them in person relationship. Now, when I look back at it, I realize it was probably more one sided and more so infatuation on my end. But I did get to experience all of those things about like just being like obsessed with a person, can't stop thinking about them, wanting to talk to them all the time. So in some ways, that was a memory that I will treasure just because it's one of those experiences I feel like are just part of the formative years, you know? But I experienced it in my 20s. In every sense of the word, I am a late bloomer. I had my first kiss when I was 22. And my first kiss, actually, funny story, was I went to, so after I graduated college, I ended up going on a 3-week trip to Europe. And when we got to Liverpool, we went out to the bars and we ended up running into these Royal Navy guys, and they were, you know, there for training and stuff, and they were in their like uniforms, and I ended up kissing one of them a lot. I ended up making out with one of them, which is so interesting. Um, and I don't think I would do that again. And I don't regret my first kiss. I feel like it was like kind of a cool, I don't know. I remember his face. He was Arabic. He had beautiful eyelashes, just very much my type. That was my type. And really beautiful big brown eyes. It was like, you know, and I was like, when in Rome or in Liverpool. So we kissed and it was great. I had a great time. And that's definitely a memory that I will always keep. All of that to say is I have always been a late bloomer. And that's just been my story. Just always blooming very late. Either I'm a late bloomer and I'm a wallflower. I don't know why, but those are the two things I would describe myself. And I don't know if a relationship is honestly in the cards for me when I think about it. I'm really not sure that that's going to be something that happens. And I know people are going to say, oh, you're so young and you have time and everyone's story unfolds differently. And yeah, I've heard it all. I understand. Whatever. I get it. You don't have to tell me again. I understand that that's true. I could have a whole different story. My life could look completely different next year. Who knows? Or it could be the same. And that has both made me feel at peace to just think about maybe this is just my life is going to look like. I'll be single and just still figuring out how to live life and find my way as a single woman. And the other part of me is, well, maybe there is someone out there who I'll connect with and vibe with and be obsessed with Disney with. And that could be still something in the cards for me. And the worst part is you just don't know, right? You never know the future. That's just the reality of things. You don't know the future. You don't know what's coming. And I think it sometimes can be really hard to hold on or hold out for hope when life and experience has told you one thing, but you are trying so hard to believe another. And I recognize I have several chips on my shoulders. On my shoulders, on my neck, on my head, like chips everywhere, just all over, just little nicks everywhere. And I recognize that. And unfortunately, that's something I need to work through. That's my own trauma, my own stuff. And if I want to move forward, I have to work through those things. Even if it's scary, even if I self-sabotage, I have to find a way to work through them if I want to get past them. And I'm trying. And some days are better than others in terms of trying. I feel like right now I'm in this weird I just feel like lately I've been self-sabotaging, and I don't know what's going to come of that. But I am someone that does desire partnership, marriage, kids, all of those things. It just hasn't happened for me yet. That's it. End of the video. Thanks for watching. Just kidding. I think there's a lot of things that have led me to this point, and a lot of them have to do with my own stuff, just my own stuff. I don't know that I ever thought, like, if you asked me if I would have thought that I would have been 34 and single, I don't know that I would have thought that. It's not that I wouldn't have believed you. I feel like I just would not have thought that for myself. And it was just because of growing up around people who were always in relationships and just seeing that it was a possibility and thinking that it would be possible for me too.